You can get advertising sort of down to a science. You can do that same thing with ABM. Go after 200 counts a month, new accounts, and we were able to turn 20% of those into an opportunity within 60 days.
Hi, my name is Ankur Sehgal. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bamboo Box. You are listening to the very first episode of Unboxing ABM, where we talk about ABM strategies, what works, what doesn't work. And in this particular season, I would be speaking to experts to understand their success mantras. And to share his ABM playbook today is Justin Noll. Justin runs marketing for Sense, which is an extremely successful HR tech player. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you for having me. Really excited to chat about ABM.
Justin, let's start with understanding your journey as a marketer.
I had sort of an interesting journey into marketing. My first job out of college, I actually started off in sales, and it just so happened that the product I was working for also had developed a SaaS tool for that did website monitoring. So I went to see. I was like, "Hey, can I start selling this?" No experience, no training. He's like, "Sure, go ahead." Did sales, was doing my own lead gen. And then as soon as I could, hired a salesperson to do sales, totally got out of sales, and I focused all my efforts on marketing. I do have my degree is actually in management marketing. I'm probably one of those few people that went to college for what they do. With that said, I don't think I use much of what I was taught in college, for my career. Led marketing at multiple startups. Um, Anywhere from, a 30-person startup to a 300-person startup. And then, the last company I was at, that was definitely the dream ride. I started as global employee number 70, and that company grew to over 1,500 employees in about 5 years. And, just wanted to go back to something smaller, found Sense, and, here I am.
How have you evolved as a marketer? How has your approach evolved as a marketer across last few decades, given that marketing also has underwent a fundamental change?
If I look back from when I started now, I think marketing is on the hook for, pipeline. And I don't think that was the case, when I started marketing. And then, I think you have, new tools that didn't exist then that are, for the most part, a necessity, like the intent tools to be able to do ABM and more advanced marketing. And, I think marketing teams are smaller than they were, and part of it is just the number of tools that are out there. You're able to do a lot more with less people. And then obviously the last 2 years, the AI explosion has, I think, just turned marketing on its head. So, if I look at, my 18 plus years in marketing, I would say the last 2 years are definitely the uh, fastest from a technology perspective and from a speed perspective. But yeah, marketing has changed quite a bit in the last 18 years that I've been doing it.
You said that when you started, marketing was not tied to the pipeline as much as it is now. What was it then?
When I started in the SaaS industry, marketing was lead gen. I think most marketing teams are judged by MQLs when I first started. It was like MQLs and then all the corporate marketing stuff, the branding and events and that such. Versus now, I think most marketing teams are judged by marketing generated pipeline.
What does ABM mean for you, Justin?
I spent about 2 years talking to people that had ABM in their title. Find them on LinkedIn, reach out to them. What's your job like? What's your day to day? I talked to, director or manager level folks that worked at bigger orgs, and their job was to market to 50 or 75 accounts throughout the year. So everything that they're doing is hyper personalized. They know the people that they're marketing to. They know everything that they're doing on LinkedIn. They know what conferences that they're going to be at. True one-to-one motion. With that said, it's very hard to replicate that. unless you're at a larger company and you have that level of specialization. And also, the people that are doing that level of specialization could be a director or VP marketing at a 200, 300 person company.
Mhm.
You're not having a college kid do that level of marketing. So that's what it means to me. Now, with that said, there's obviously multiple flavors of it. People talk about one-to-one, one-to-few, one-to-many. I think most teams are probably doing one-to-many right now. So, I don't even think that that's relevant anymore. Every company I've been at, everyone defines it differently. So I don't even talk about ABM at a lot of companies. I
Mhm.
just say, are we an account-based organization? And I say that because I want marketing and sales to be aligned on that and not have it be driven solely by marketing. Marketing is oftentimes, in the driver's seat there, because they have the tools and the sophistication to do it. But
Mhm.
if marketing and sales aren't working together hand in hand, it typically doesn't go well.
Is ABM a strategy for you? Is it a philosophy for you? Is it a tool set for you? What exactly is ABM for you?
I think ABM for me, I would define it differently across, the different companies that I've worked at. And why I would define it differently is the resources that I have at hand.
Mhm.
So at my last company, we had a 40-person team. I had two people that just focus on ABM. So their job was to meet with each sales pod, and a pod was typically an AE and two SDRs, or maybe it's two AEs and two SDRs. Meet with that pod once a month, tell them reach out to these companies, reach out to these contacts because they're most engaged. Here's the content to reach out to them with, and here's why to reach out to them and trying to convert them into pipeline. While sales and the SDR team is doing that very personalized outreach, then marketing is, doing the air cover, they're delivering, personalized assets. If you're doing enterprise grade ABM, maybe you're doing a webinar just for that company. They don't know that it's just for that company, but you can then get very personalized with it. So at my last company, we were targeting one of the largest companies in the world, and we held a webinar just for them. We had 30 people from that company and the HR team attend it. And we didn't put their name on the deck or anything like that, but the content was personalized based off of the challenges that we uncovered during the discovery process. And it was trying to educate everyone, get everyone excited about our product, the solution, but it spoke to them because it was true one-to-one marketing.
Depending upon the number of resources which you have at your hand, you would go from a one to many approach to a one-to-one approach. And of course, both the dimensions will play a role, the number of resources as well as the requirement of the business. Sometimes the businesses might not have a requirement of one-to-one, but that whether you do one-to-one or one-to-many would also be driven by what you have at your hand in terms of resources, people, as well as program budgets. Would that be a fair summary of what?
Yeah, that would be fair. The asterisk to that,
Yeah.
I think if you look at tools like Clay, you're able to do all these things automatically. The two people that I had at my last company that just did, ABM, if I have a tighter budget, I can actually replicate everything that they're doing with tools that are available today that didn't exist, if I look 3 years ago. I'm super excited about the future of marketing because everyone is under pressure of, reducing headcount, reducing expenses. But we do have this technology now that will allow us to do these things that did cost a lot at a much lower cost. I mean, I'm looking at, those two people are in the US, there's a big cost to that. I could replicate pretty much everything that they were doing with maybe $2,000, $3,000 a month with tools, and automated enrichment. You can everything, all the account research that they did that took them an hour. I can now have automated in Clay, and it'll cost me $5.
So you have ran ABM across multiple companies, which have varied sizes in terms of their revenue brackets, probably also in terms of the segment of the customers which they would have focused on, and also, as you rightly said, the number of resources which you had at your hand. So, what has been your experience in terms of ROI getting generated from ABM programs?
If you can get really sophisticated with it, you can make it similar to advertising, very targeted advertising. You're marketing to ICP accounts, the right titles there, and every month you're going to spend so much money and you're going to get so many demo requests. It depreciates over time. You refresh the creative, the numbers bounce back up, but you can relatively you can get advertising sort of down to a science. You can do that same thing with ABM. And the play that I had there, which I kind of outlined already with the two folks that I had in ABM at my last company, they would go after 200 counts a month, new accounts, and we were able to turn 20% of those into an opportunity within 60 days. With the tools that are available today, I think it makes it achievable. Like it's achievable for smaller marketing teams now where if you go back 3, 4+ years, you would need the manpower to do it. And that's why a lot of companies, they looked at the amount of work to actually do ABM and, they decided not to go forward with it. I think now you're able to do that. You're able to orchestrate a lot of that with potentially one full-time person.
What are the KPIs which you have seen getting impacted from your ABM initiatives? One of them, of course, you said is the number of opportunities getting generated. But apart from that, what other KPIs in your entire GTM engine have you seen getting impacted?
The expectation of it is month over month or quarter over quarter you're moving accounts from one level of engagement up to a higher level of engagement, and it's across overall account engagement, how many people are engaged, and also the relevancy of the title. I've had plenty of times where I have a manager of director of talent acquisition fill out a demo request. We have a discovery call with them and they're like, yeah, our CHRO saw this ad, we have this problem, so they told me to reach out to you guys. Now, if I wouldn't have marketed to that CHRO, would this conversation have happened? Probably not. Then you're going to be measuring, okay, leads, how many are engaging with content, how many are, stopping by the booth at an event, how many are actually, product hand raiser, they're requesting a demo. And then after that is all the typical marketing metrics, how many are turning into opportunities, how many are, sales qualified, average deal value, sales cycle, all that stuff. But I think the new metrics that kind of come into play is around engagement.
Got it. Have you seen any impact on the CAC in mid to long term if you follow a successful ABM program, or what's your view on that?
A lot of times marketing is very good at generating smaller deals, mid-market accounts. Where ABM comes into play is then you start generating the bigger deals at the bigger accounts. A lot of companies out there are just capturing demand, right? They're advertising. If someone's in market, they click on the ad, they get a demo, then they turn an opportunity. Where if you're really successful with ABM and you can actually identify the problem that they potentially have and market to them that this is the only solution for it, you're able to then, potentially create stuff that may not be in market. Those are typically going to be larger deals because now you're not competing, against, it isn't like it isn't like you're getting an RFI and you're, up against 10 other companies. But from a CAC perspective, deals run faster, which that in some ways reduces the cost. And then typically your average deal size is going to be larger. With that said, you're typically spending more on those accounts, but those should be your best accounts.
Most important question on the podcast here. Share with us your ABM playbook.
I will start off with the very important beginning part is always the target account list. What accounts do we want to get into and why? And then where have we won in the past? A lot of times I go in and I look at the data and it's different than what the company actually thinks. If there's agreement that we want to do some sort of one-to-one play, I want 100, 200 accounts at most. Could be a mix of where we won before and accounts that we want to go after. But if you're going to do that level of focus, you're not going to have the resources and it doesn't make sense to boil the ocean. So alignment on here's the top 100, 200, maybe it's 250 at most.
You said that the first step is to come out with a target account list, then tier the accounts
Yep.
depending upon the deal values which you can expect from these accounts, and then decide if the deal values and the budget at hand allow you to run different ABM strategies across these tiers, right from one to one to one to few to one to many. What would be the next step?
We've aligned on the accounts, then we're gonna go make sure we have all the relevant contacts, we're gonna enrich them, and then marketing is gonna build out an account plan. Then we review that with the AE or if they have an SDR BDR assigned to their accounts too, reviewing with them, getting them aligned on it, and then that's where you basically create the lockstep sync between the two groups because they know what we're gonna do. They need to then enhance that experience, right? It's one-to-one account. It's not one-to-one for the person.
Mhm,
So the expectation is AE, you need to message the highest level people. So pick 3 to 5 contacts. That's who
mhm,
you're responsible for communicating with. Here's the air cover that we're going to provide. And the air
mhm,
cover could be events, could be email, could be advertising, or all of the above. SDR, BDR, here's the 10 to 15 contacts that you're going to go after. AE is going to be going after who's typically the champion and then one level above. So maybe it's a director and VP, where the SDR is maybe going after, manager level, or maybe people in other departments that are part of the decision-making process, but not a decision maker. And then marketing is going after everything else while also providing all that other air cover to the contacts that the A's and the BDRs are going after. And then bringing back that group and reporting on intel that you've gotten. So an A has a meeting, maybe there's a Slack channel for that account. The meeting notes get put in there. And then, the team that's working at AEs, marketing, SDR, BDR, they're all aware of it and then they can adjust accordingly. So you're constantly changing, pivoting, improving based off of the more information that you gather. Hey, this person visited the website. That also goes in there. So then the AE, the BDR knows. This person stopped by our booth. Any kind of intel that you have, it's shared amongst that group, and then they can, adjust it accordingly.
how do you leverage all the account intelligence which is available to you or which you would capture as part of this process? At what stages do you bring that into your playbook?
I think tools really help. Just kind of bring it all together. So
Mhm.
if you have an ABM platform, most of those tools is bringing that intel into a single tool. So I think that's extremely helpful versus trying to build it yourself or trying to build it in Looker or BI tool. So highly recommend an ABM platform to bring all those signals and everything together. Like I haven't been able to pull everything together in Salesforce. Salesforce isn't a reporting tool. I haven't been able to pull everything together with a HubSpot, Marketo, you name it. I think you do need a tool that is more specialized for ABM to pull all that data together in like one pane, and all the relevant data and kind of like take out the rest of the noise. So I highly recommend ABM platform. A lot of the pieces of data and a lot of things that you measure, it's really hard to do that in a marketing automation tool because it's not purpose built for it. It's hard to do it with a CRM because again, it's not purpose built for it. So I think you do need, a specialized tool just to bring all that together.
What do you measure at different stages of your ABM program? What would you measure for the accounts where you're running one to one? What would you measure for accounts where you're running one to many or one to few? Any advice on that front?
I measure them the same. The first thing is we're trying to drive engagement. Is it engagement with the right people? Are we able to get meetings with them? Not every meeting has to be a demo. If you're spending the time and the effort to do one-to-one, you're educating them, you're learning their business challenges from them. I would recommend people just think through that. Your goal isn't always to drive to a demo request. That's the ultimate goal from a marketing perspective, but there's things that you can do before that. Another kind of tip for folks that I've had success with, if you're able to hire a subject matter expert. So someone, maybe they're running their own company, and they're an analyst or such, because that automatically brings trust. And then that's someone that your audience will actually pay to meet with. So if you're offering to meet with them for free, you're going to have a very high conversion rate on that. And they're part of your company. They're there to sell your product ultimately, right? It could also just be someone that is from their background. So I think that would be, a big tip there.
Super. So I will just summarize for my listeners here. So uh, predominantly a three-step process. Starts with identification and tiering of accounts, and of course enrichment of the accounts. Also, the first step would also you would try and decide what strategies around ABM you want to deploy, one to one, one to many, one to few. Once you are through with that, you would decide how do you want to orchestrate the engagement through your internal stakeholders? What is that the A's focus on? What is that the SDRs focus on? And where would marketing come in? Do a cover fire. So that's one part of the internal orchestration. And externally, you would also sort of decide what sort of messaging do you want to take to various accounts, depending upon what tier they are in and what stage possibly they are in their buying journey. You would also decide what channels, a combination of digital and non-digital channels, which you would deploy with the core objective of giving a sort of a cover fire for rest of the stakeholders who are reaching out to various contacts or personas within those set of accounts. So this is the second step, and the third step is where the execution starts. The rubber hits the road, and there, you're saying most of this is the technology play here, where a deployed ABM platform will help you on executing on whatever you have decided on the first two steps, and also measuring both the leading indicators as well as the final outcomes out of your ABM strategies, and help you to continuously iterate the program design and the other strategies which you would have decided as part of your overall ABM strategy.
A precursor to that is to get the leadership team, the sales leadership team, and marketing together on what does ABM mean for the company? What do we think needs to be done? What should we be measuring? And it can be the best marketing and the best ABM in the world. But if sales isn't aligned with it, it's going to fall flat because marketing is going to be doing something and sales is going to be doing something else. And then agreeing on what those success metrics are and make sure you have early indicators because it's going to take time. And how long it takes is going to, how fast can you go? What's your deal cycle like? I think a lot of companies expect, oh, we're going to do ABM. We're going to get all these meetings next month from marketing or, whoever. That's not the reality. Generally, people accept that at any given time, 5% of your market or 5% of your accounts that you're going after is in market.
Yeah.
So the other 95%, you may be doing the best ABM in the world. I mean, they might do a demo, but they're not going to buy from you. And this is where intent comes in, is trying to identify who do we think is already in market and make sure we're marketing them. If you're really watching your intent data, there's usually signs. At the last company I was at, we saw a spike 6 to 9 months before they actually engaged with us in our intent. Not every account did it, but for a percentage, that's the spike that we saw. And that's how much in advance we saw before they actually engaged with us for a meeting or a demo.
You mentioned that one of course, the challenges is aligning the both sales and marketing leaderships as well as the teams. What are the other execution challenges which you have come across?
Relying on the target account list. Sometimes sales wants to go after different accounts that than marketing wants to go after. I've even been in a seat where the CEO wants to go after different accounts than sales leadership wants to go at. So aligning on that, I think is very key. You could also have the case where marketing is going after these accounts and sales doesn't really work them because they're not on board with the account list either. So I think that would be a big one. You're not going to be able to do real ABM just with the marketing team. It
Mhm.
doesn't work. And you're going to waste a lot of time and money. So I think, try to figure out how you can get some quick wins right away, and start with the number of accounts that you're confident that you can go after, with the tactics and the resources at hand. Once you agree to do it, you have to move quickly. I've seen ABM fizzle out where it took them too long to get things up and running, and then people lose faith in it. Sales doesn't want to spend time with it. People just don't have the patience for it, and the results do take a while. Getting things going, getting some quick wins, making sure you're measuring early indicators, I think it is key.
Super. On that note, Justin, thank you so much. Both the playbook as well as the challenges which someone could come across, I think came out very, very clearly. And thank you for sharing that. And also some of the strategies which have worked for you to work around some of these challenges. So thank you once again. And to the viewers, signing off, this is Ankur, and you had Justin Noll with me. And keep looking for the next set of episodes in the series. Thank you so much.